YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. Heading into NFL Week 3, I got my updated power rankings, which we do every single Tuesday afternoon. A lot of movement, especially early in the season. My power rankings, if you win, you usually go up. You lose, you go down. How you play on the field definitely matters. I think a lot of other people's power rankings is kind of end-of-the-year predictions in a way. Not predictions here. We go step by step, so we'll see the movement for this week heading into Week 3. We got weekly pick'ems every Tuesday night. We got score predictions every Wednesday. A lot of other videos on the channel, so join us, like, subscribe to notifications on Twitter. A lot going on there. NFL updates, fan-voted picks on there. A lot going on. Also, check out the BetQL app. There's all links out all over your screen. There's a lot of info in the description of our videos here. You can download the app on Google Play or the App Store. There's also a website. They went 13-2 in Week 1 bets according to their 5-star bet, so very impressive. I like how they do it, too. They have 5-star bets, 4-star bets. Feels like recruits with the stars. So I do like that a lot. They also have who the professionals are betting on, who the public is betting on. So you kind of can match it up to their 5 stars with the professional bets. And that makes sense. You kind of feel comfortable about putting money on those games. They have it for all sports, not just the NFL. Anything you can think of, prop bets, first half, second half, against the spread, over, under, anything you can think of throughout the games for the NFL. So very useful stuff there. Check it out. They have a special offer for BetMGM. More of the link and more info in the description as well. Make sure you use code GOAT for 25% off. Again, there's a lot more info in the description there, but yeah, check it out. Here's our Twitter. Yeah, fan voted polls for Week 3. We do this every week going on. There's a lot of close ones here. Some are landslides. A lot of close ones that you guys will decide, and that will be used for our Week 3 picks, of course. And then players of the week voting, too. A lot going on Twitter, so make sure you check it out. To the power rankings. Yeah, I'm going to keep the Jaguars at 32. They made their way there after their Week 1 performance. And they started off strong against the Broncos this week, but it was all because of a script, it looked like, and then it kind of went downhill from there. Yeah, so they're going to have to turn it around. Still early season, so they can do that. And, yeah, a lot of things stayed the same here. I had the Lions stay at 31. They put up a fight with the Packers, in the first half. So that was they look good there, and they look good in the second half against the 49ers. Things went downhill. As soon as it started raining, against the Packers in that Monday night game. Jets stay at 30. Not a good showing for their offense, including Zach Wilson. Their defense actually played pretty well, believe it or not, against the Patriots, though. So there's that. 29, the Giants. Giants played a winnable game against Washington. They came up short. It still kind of hurts that, hurts them, especially in an exercise like this where your offense moved the ball as good as they're going to move it against a Washington football team defense, and you still didn't win. So, on top of them playing, overall winnable game, it's not ideal. Must win against the Falcons this week. So 28 versus 29, that's going to be a barn burner there. That's a toss-up game. 28 Falcons. Yeah, middle portion of that Buccaneers game, they looked pretty good. Matt Ryan started to adjust to being pressured every time. They started to pick it up a little bit. So there are some glimpses, I guess. The defense is my worry. It should be a pretty good game, actually. 28 versus 29, Falcons versus Giants there. Bengals moved down a spot. Tough one against the Bears. Pretty sloppy. Turned the ball over a bit. It kind of made, we were kind of wondering, was Week 1 just a Week 1 thing? Is that why they won? And we're not going to make a prediction on that or statement on that, but I guess to the world, it kind of looks like that. After their performance in Week 2. So let's see if they can turn it back around. I do like the way their defense is playing. The defense is playing pretty solid. Again, just like last week, the interior of the defense has looked improved. It looks pretty solid. So maybe a sneaky team still going forward. They moved down a spot. Nothing major here. I actually moved the Texans up a spot. They lost, but I still moved them a spot because they look pretty good. The Texans look like a better ball team than we thought. And Tyrod Taylor gets hurt, and that's a big reason they lose the game. You can make an assumption, whether they won or lost if Tyrod Taylor doesn't get hurt, and they had other injuries as well. But at the end of the day, they look great in Week 1, and they look pretty solid. They put up a fight with the Browns when healthy in Week 2. Now, this is a good example of why, my power rankings aren't predictions. I'm going to keep repeating that. I have to. A lot of people probably get annoyed with that. The people that understand. There's a lot of people that just think I'm assuming things long term with these rankings is not what I'm doing. So I think most people out there will be like, oh, the Texans are going to start losing like crazy because Tyrod Taylor is hurt. You could be right, but that's an assumption. I like the way they're playing right now, and I don't really, I still have them down at 26. So it's not like, oh, they're looking great. It's none of that. So if people are right, because Tyrod Taylor's out, they start losing, then they'll go down. So stock looks a little bit up, on this video, but really they're almost trending downward, but that's kind of a prediction of what's going to happen based on the injuries. So overall, I like the way they played through 2 weeks when healthy, and I like what the coaching staff has showed us so far too, which is a little bit of a surprise at least. So I guess somewhat impressive for the Texans. 25, the Vikings. I mean, if I'm being honest, it's pretty pathetic that the Vikings are down here because they have a lot of talent on their team. It's pretty bad. They're 0-2. They had 2 very winnable games, and they couldn't pull it off, so that's obviously not good. They played well enough against a good Cardinals team to beat them, though, so that's what they're hanging on to. But, yeah, they're not really hanging on to much when I got them in the bottom tier of teams here. So, pretty disappointing to start the year. I guess there's a lot of season left, and they're pretty I guess the good news is they're pretty close to being 2, and they're not, but they're pretty close, so that means I guess they can turn it around, perhaps, just like that, maybe. So I do have them at 25, though. 24 is the Colts. This would be the highest-ranked 0-2 team here. One spot ahead of the Vikings, and you got a couple other teams 0-2 that we feel that these teams are better than still, just based on what they're showing us on the field. But the Colts, I mean, yeah, it's tough. They got to go down because they're 0-2 and other teams are winning. That's how my power rankings work. But they're a much better team than that. I think they'll make their way up. Maybe because Carson Wentz is hurt now. I guess, which unfortunately isn't too much of a shocker. But I mean, they played the Seahawks somewhat tight. Seahawks had control, and this past week they put up a good fight with the Rams. A couple execution problems in the red zone, and Carson Wentz getting hurt. Maybe they would have won the game against a team that's ranked pretty highly for me. So. They're definitely the best 0-2 team. It doesn't sound that great, but, it's unfortunate they're 0-2. Unfortunate they have had health issues, and they had a tough schedule to start. But, they're going to be down 2 spots at number 24. 23, the Bears are going to move up 2 spots. Good win against the Bengals. What I liked is their defense stepped up. Some worries about the defense going into week 2. They played defense like the Bears should play defense in that game. So let's see if that continues. They're on the positive side of things here. I think they won that game more than what the score will show. It is, you don't like that they kind of let the other team back in. But they definitely, I don't want to say dominant. Yeah, they're pretty dominant most of that game. Pretty close to dominant, I'd say. So they're kind of trending up. Let's go out and show us some more, prove us some more to keep on moving up here. Next, Eagles. Man, it's tough to move the Eagles down to 22, down 3 spots. Because I still like the Eagles. I like the way they played in week 1. Your resume plays a part on this too. Week 1 won't hold too much value because it's always weird, but they dominated the Falcons, and I guess on the resume being the Falcons, it doesn't, if they would have beat a great team in week 1, they would be better ranked than 22, but I still like them. I still like where they're heading. I still like Jalen Hurts. I like the defense. They've had some injuries that's unfortunate. They played the 49ers tough. There was a lot of sloppy moments on offense and things they could have done better, executed better. So it hurts, it hurts me to put them down because I do like them. I do like them as a team where they're heading. But it was just, and we'll see the teams that pop up. There's a lot of good teams that really moved down, and I could not move them down more. And there's a team that won that I could not move them down. So this is kind of where the Eagles fell into place because in my system, it's more like I have a system here with my power rankings like I always had, and then teams kind of decide where they're going to be ranked. That's the way I see it here. 21 is Washington. You had no movement, so that's another team I couldn't really move down for winning. They put up a good fight with the Giants. They pull it off in the end. Backup quarterback is in as well. Defense gonna have to step it up a little bit. I'm pretty disappointed with the defense. I thought it'd be a top tier elite defense, and it definitely still can be. It's been a little disappointing there. Pass protection's been a little disappointing, which you kind of expected to be there. So they're gonna stay put at 21. Struggled a bit more than I thought they would with the Giants, but it's a primetime game. They're going to stay put at 21. I just couldn't move them ahead of some of the teams in the top 20 here. Just couldn't find a way. 20 is the Dolphins, down 6 spots. Yeah, a very sloppy game like that will move you down a bit. 6 spots. Compared to some of these other teams, some other teams really moved down a lot here. But, it's a very sloppy game. And now you could say that's not the normal Dolphins. That game was over from the start just because fluky things. And I'm going to agree with you on that. I'll agree with you on that. And that, with that being said, you kind of assume that won't happen again and that they'll be fine going forward. And I'm going to agree with you on that as well. But those are assumptions. Those are predictions based off what we just saw in the sloppy play. Not good. And with other teams going up, it's not too hard to move a team like that down for right now. But if they kind of get back to normal, no fluky starts, sure, they'll be going up. So another example of how this is not predictions in the future. We do not want to assume things. We got every single week to do these power rankings. 19, the Chargers moving down 7 spots. A lot of good teams had to move up, so they're going to move down quite a bit. Tough game with the Cowboys. They definitely could have won, and we could see them at a very good rank right now if they would have won that winnable game. The Washington win honestly doesn't look as great right now because their defense is looking bad. So you're kind of wondering, what's with the Chargers offense? They can move the ball. They can't execute in the red zone. Same storyline against the Cowboys defense they'll surrender some yards and some points. So there was some bad calls that went the Chargers' way, but, they're just not executing. Receivers I feel like are letting, Mike Williams actually played a pretty good game, but receivers got to step up in my opinion as well. Herbert's got to take care of the ball a little better. Even though he's making some ridiculous plays. So red zone offense is killing them right now. They give a lot of yards on the ground as well, so they'll move down 7 spots. Tough game against the Chiefs this week as well. 18's the Steelers. Steelers moving down a whopping 9 spots. Yeah, this is one of those where the week 1 doesn't look as good anymore either because it feels like week 1 they won purely off of a defensive game plan, which was genius. I already talked about that last week, which was genius, and that's really what they won on, and then kind of relied on the Bills being sloppy, see a special teams mistake. But at the end of the day, they moved up big time for that. I had no problem ranking them high for a statement win over the Bills, but you go into week 2, and like I said, what you show me on the field definitely matters, and the Steelers losing to the Raiders, I know they had injuries on defense, but I'm looking at the offense. Back-to-back weeks, even though they got a win in week 1, the offense has not proven anything. The identity of the offense is actually showing right now, and it's not looking good. So it's a team that, even with 1 loss, is pretty easy to move down in this scenario here. So hopefully they get healthy on defense because I still like the defense. Offense got to pick it up. In an offensive era, it's hard to rank a team that high when they have those struggles. So only been 2 weeks. Let's see if they get out of it. 17, the Saints are going to move down a whopping 12 spots. They started week 1 with the good win over the Packers, and people kind of wondering, is that kind of a week 1 fluky thing? And I'm not making a statement on this. They played great, but to the world, it kind of looks like that after week 2. And I know I'm going to have a crowd with this one saying, well, they're missing all their coaches. They're missing a ton of players on defense. That is true. That definitely affected them, right? It definitely affected them. And you could say they're going to be okay. They're going to go back to a good team when they get everything back together. I'm in agreement with you, but that's an assumption. That's prediction. They got to go out and do it to move up in the power rankings. At the end of the day, honestly, it would have looked better if it was a shootout. If they gave up a ton of points, but they scored a ton of points and lost because they were missing so many players on defense. But I didn't have really a problem fully how their defense played. They were put in some bad situations because the offense, they didn't play great. But that's understandable. My problem is the offense shouldn't have looked as bad as it did, and it looked pretty damn bad. At the end of the day, they got, on a week-by-week basis here, they got beat pretty bad by the Carolina Panthers. And a lot of teams got to move up, so they're going to move down. So again, another team that's a great example on why these aren't predictions for the end of the year. I picked the Saints to make the playoffs. I think when the coaches are back, everyone's healthy. They should be better. I'm a little worried about Jameis Winston. Hopefully he doesn't go back to playing that ball, but that's an assumption. That's a prediction. If it happens, they'll be right back up. I had them at 5 last week. No problem putting them there if they look good again. So, for now they're down to 17 after a disappointing week. 16, another team down 12. That's a brutal loss for the Seahawks. That's one of those losses to me that'll move you down big time. And I explained it in a recap video because they kind of had everything go their way in that Titans game. They had a big lead. The Titans were still sloppy from week 1. Turned the ball over, missing field goals. They were getting touchdowns taken away from them that were clear touchdown. That was a clear touchdown. And Seahawks had every opportunity, and they still lost the game. And that just tells me you're just plain and simple not as good as the other team right now. We'll see what it is in the future. So that one hurts them quite a bit. I had them at 4. So if they look good and they're winning, I got no problem putting them up there. But that one's a tough one. That in my mind, in my system here, that one will hurt you in the power rankings. There's no excuses on how you lose that game right there. So they're moving down 12 spots, number 16 from that one. 15, the Patriots are going to stay put. They could be 2-0. They could be 2-0. Offense a little sloppy against the Jets. They have every opportunity to score about 40 points. At the end of the day, they didn't really need to. Defense played out of their minds, and the offense got the job done. But it was hard to move them a bit. If they were 2-0, they would be well inside the top 10. I'll tell you that right now. But it was tough to move them ahead of some of these teams up here within the top 14. 14, the Broncos. End of the day, they're 2-0. The Broncos don't have the best resume, I guess, on who they beat. And maybe that's what's keeping them outside the top 10, and that's probably what will have fans out there saying, how do you rank the Broncos in the top 15 of the NFL? Because people are predicting how they'll be at the end of the year. It's really not how things work. Once again, they look pretty good at the same time. They're not playing the best competition. They're 2-0. They look pretty dominant while doing it on both sides of the ball. So I like what I'm seeing from the Broncos. They're moving up 6 spots at number 14. If they can get some statement wins on their resume, they'll be soaring up too. So that'll help even more. But I mean, it's the NFL. Anybody can lose any week, any given Sunday here. They go out and keep winning, they're going to make their way up there no matter who they play, really. So they're at 14. The Panthers soaring up 10 spots, beat a Saints team which the Panthers were underdogs in. Maybe if the Saints were full strength, maybe they would have boosted up a little more in 10 too, because that would have been even more. It was a statement win, a good statement win. Hence why they went up 10 spots. Maybe they could have went up even more, though. So, but that defense looking real good. That defense looking dominant. Bunch of young guys that fly around the field. Every level of the defense looking good. Love that. Offense is in their groove right now. They're in their groove, fast, quick. A lot of playmakers making plays. So they went out and played a pretty damn complete game against the Saints, and they're 2-0. And that'll help them quite a bit there. So moving up 10 spots, obviously. Next up, we got the Ravens moving up 6 spots. Bounce back game, big win against the Chiefs. It's a tough one because the Ravens they got a lot of injuries, they're depleted, and they go and beat a dominant team, a team they haven't been able to beat in the past while being depleted. I think I mentioned that they beat the Chiefs overall. So, it's tough not moving them up even more. 6 spots is a lot, especially when you get up into this range, in the top tier of teams. It's actually a lot. I think only 2 more teams, if I'm not mistaken, we'll see, had more movement, and it's just, you kind of got to look at the rest of the teams in the top 11. It was just tough to move them ahead of the teams in the top 11. And there are still, and I say what happens on the field does play a part. Got to start splitting hairs, nitpicking a little bit with these top tier teams and how to split them up and how they look on the field. The Ravens, running game looks elite. Like it usually is. But you still worry about when they play more of a defensive team, when they have to pass the ball a little more. You still worry about the defense a little bit, so there still are some concerns there that are present on the field. It's not really predictions. It's present on the field. It's a big win against Chiefs, why they went up 6 spots. It's a momentum win. So that's, again, why they're back towards the top tier of teams here in the top 12. 11, Titans, that's a big-time statement win for them. They're going to go up 5 spots. They went down after a sloppy game against the Cardinals. They started off sloppy against the Seahawks. First half and second half, Titans team, way different. Way different. For them to be able to overcome all that and still beat a pretty good team in the Seahawks is pretty ridiculous. We see that Titans offense, that what we're used to, on the ground and in the passing game as well. Got to get A.J. Brown going a little more. He's still kind of in that sloppy mode, that rust mode. So, but that's a big time win to have everything kind of go against you in that game. And to bounce back and winning against what we think is a pretty good team in the Seahawks, that's pretty big. So up 5 spots to number 11 there. Not quite where they started. The sloppiness still plays a part. You almost, another one, with that type of win, you almost want to, I had them, in the top 8 to start the year, 6 I think it was. You almost want to get them back there. Hard to move them ahead of what teams are doing in the top 10. Can't really move those teams down. And the sloppiness was still there for the Titans. So we'll see if they continue the way they played in the second half there. 10, the Bills are going to stay put. Interesting one because they won 35-0 against the Dolphins, and some people actually doubted the Bills in that game. So that's a good win, statement win. It's just very hard to move them ahead of the top 9 teams and what they did. And it's still a little bit, Josh Allen, the passing game wasn't all that great, a little sloppy, even it's a 35-0 win. The Dolphins kind of beat themselves with some sloppy, fluky things. Tua getting hurt early in that game. The Bills just took advantage and pulled away. So it's still a good win overall, 35-0. I just want to see some more. I want them to get going a little more in the passing game. Even though Washington's down at 21, that'd be a pretty good statement win to me because there's some mismatch problems. I think that'd actually be a better game than people think. So I don't really care if you win by 1 point, how you win that game. To me, looking at the matchup, I think that'd be a pretty good win to help them out here. So they remain in the top 10. 9, the Cowboys. We moved the Cowboys up 4 spots. I mean, their loss is a tough game versus the Super Bowl champions to start the year in Tampa Bay on Thursday night, the winnable game. At the end of the day, they lost it. Second week, I doubted them a little bit this week, especially with who they had out. And they go in there and beat the Chargers. That's a big-time win right there. And they executed enough on offense. You expected a little more on offense, but they executed enough, especially on the ground. I love the way. That's what I love about, they didn't need to put all those points for me to be a fan of what they did. They kind of play mind games with you. They stretch the field by doing that. You think it is a pass team. They showed they could beat you with the pass, but they didn't end up being dominant on the ground at the same time. And the defense, missing guys like DeMarcus Lawrence come out and play, and the defense plays big time. So I love what I saw from the Cowboys. And, looking at their resume, if you had to kind of look at losses, I guess there's no such thing as a good loss, but I guess it's a pretty good one to have there if we're nitpicking, again, splitting hairs with some of these teams. So they're up 4 spots. Love what I saw from the Cowboys, and they're at number 9 right now. Number 8, the Green Bay Packers up 3 spots. Week 1 could have been a little fluky there. We'll see, but but then they started off a little sloppy in the first half of the Lions game. Yeah, not on offense, I guess so. It's not really the same defensively. In the second half, that looked like the Packers. What I'm gathering from this game as it's going on, I'm kind of thinking the Packers were kind of holding some things back. Could be wrong. Offensively, and it felt like second half they kind of unleashed those things. Maybe they were trying to save it for a big primetime game like the Niners. So that second half Packers team looked like the Packers. So I love the way what they presented to us on the field there. So they go up 3 spots to number 8. 7, the Browns are going to stay put. They very well could be 2-0, and I'd say if they were 2-0 right now with a Chiefs win on their resume, and then that, they could be number 2 or number 3. So that's a little tough. They're going to stay put. I love what they did in the second half of that game. I love the way what they did in the fourth quarter. They played that Browns football. They held the ball, and they ran that clock and didn't even give their opponent a chance. So I do love that. A little sloppy early on. If Tyrod stayed in, what would have happened? I talked about in the recap that they could have lost to a Texans team that they should beat. But, I'm almost leaning towards they probably wouldn't have just because the control they had in the fourth quarter, they played their game. But, not enough there to move them up, so they'll stay at number 7. Still some things on the defense, relying on Garrett, really no unique way of getting after the quarterback. Secondary still kind of trying to catch their groove. I think they will, but we'll see. But they're at 7. We know it's a good football team. 6, the Chiefs are going to go down 4 spots. The tough thing with the Chiefs, and they lost and they went down. So it's not like they didn't go down. They went. It's a very good football team. We think will be a very good football team when it's all said and done. But they still moved down. They moved down 4 spots for a loss. But what they present to us on the field is pretty bad defense, actually, which really worries me for their Super Bowl chances for that. That's a different debate, though. But they still are showing us it's present on the field that they very well have the best offense. I guess debatable with the Bucs in football in an offensive era. So that'll kind of treat you a little well, I guess, in something like this where they won't move down, 12 spots, or but it's very tough to do so. So that offense is still present. They got to fix that defense, though. It's a game they should win overall, but they're going to go down 4 spots. I suppose the Browns win in week 1, where it didn't really feel like a fluky game. It felt like both teams, for the most part, were themselves. There was nothing weird about it, and they won that game. So I kind of value that a little bit. As the year goes on. Yeah, that's another thing. As the year goes on, wins to me get more and more valuable as you're in crunch time, you're in a must win, you're getting closer to playoffs. Earlier weeks, weird things happen. So that'll be something moving forward that we'll see as the year goes on. We'll see if the Chiefs get back on track. They'll 5. The Cardinals moving up 3 spots. They played a little sloppy. Murray had 2 interceptions. Overall, the offense was great. I'm not worried with the offense. Defense didn't play so hot. So that's not great, but they're still a dominant offense, kind of a matchup problem for teams all over the place, and they still go out and win the game, scoring a lot of points there. It helps the other team, like the Chiefs lost, the Browns didn't do enough to move up. So, the Cardinals move up 3 spots. They're in the top 5 after a pretty damn good start to the year. In the top 5, number 5. 4, I got the Raiders up 13 spots. How do my power rankings work? You win, you go up. You look damn good, you're going to go up too, and that kind of just sums up the Raiders. But the resume, that plays a part too. It beat the Ravens and the Steelers, and they were doubted in both games. So I got to move them up a lot. They're up to number 4. They had some injuries too. I know the Steelers did as well, but and the Ravens did as well in week 1. But the Raiders had some injuries. Both sides of the ball looks great. Derek Carr's balling. Again, defense looks much improved. The receivers looked improved so far, and you may say, a lot of people have been fooled by them in the past. You may be predicting, they'll be the same old Raiders and they'll do what they do in the second half of the year. That's a prediction. That's assumption. We aren't there yet on seeing what ultimately happened. Right now, they are playing some really good, ever since the second half of the Ravens game. They're playing some really good football. So the Las Vegas Raiders are in the top 4 of the power rankings heading in to week 3 with a pretty good game against the Dolphins here. The Dolphins overall, again, they're in terms of talent, they're probably better than number 20. That's where they sit right now based on the fluky, sloppy game last week. So that should be a pretty good game. There was a good one on prime time between the two last year. Number 3, the Niners. Niners up 3 spots. It is a little tough. The Niners are a little sloppy on offense, so tough to put them in the top 3 and execute in the right moments. They've also had a load of injuries, but it's really not an excuse. I still need to see it on the field. But again, I think they execute in the right moments, in a game against a tough Eagles team. Defensively, it looks like they were getting better within that game. And it kind of helps that other teams are losing here, so they boost up to number 3. I think a pretty balanced team, even though I guess they could have scored a little more to support that, but I still feel a pretty balanced team. Big Sunday night game, 49ers number 3 versus number 8 Green Bay Packers. It's gonna be a great one there. And then number 2 is going to be the LA Rams, who actually moved up a spot. Doesn't say that there. The Rams moved up a spot because the Chiefs moved down, so I apologize for the graphics for that. But we get the idea here. The Rams moved up a spot from number 3 to number 2 because the Chiefs were at number 2 and they were down 4 spots. So anybody keeps track understands. But the Rams, tight one with the Colts. It's another kind of like do I really feel great about the Rams being the number 2 team? They're very capable, but I don't know if I think they could have handled the Colts with their injuries and their mistakes a little better. I know the Rams did have a botched punt in there, but they pull it off. I do like when they absolutely need to go execute. They do that, whether it's red zone defense, big time players stepping up, making big time plays, offense getting down the field, making big time plays, getting the ball in the end zone. So I do love that about the Rams, and I just love it. It happens a lot, actually. I love when it matches up when week 3 is coming along here, and the two teams next to each other are playing each other this week. We got Bucs at Rams, 1 versus 2 this week in week 3. I can't wait. That's a hell of a matchup. It was a fun game primetime last year, too. Rams are looking a little different. The Bucs are in a league of their own right now. They are number 1, and there's a pretty big gap, but it sure could change. Rams beat the Bucs. No, there goes my water bottle. Spoilers here, but it really shouldn't be a spoiler. The Rams go and beat the Bucs. I don't care how they do it. They go beat the Bucs 2-0. I don't care. They're number 1. It should be obvious. They're going to be number 1 there. But the Bucs right now feeling pretty comfortable there at that 1 spot. So I'm really excited about a lot of these matchups we see. There's a lot of good games this week. I'm really excited. We'll have our picks to see who we're picking this week with the other guys to go out. That's every Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon, score predictions. A lot of content here, and we're always adding more. There's a lot going on our Twitter, too. You're missing out if you're not following that. Link down below. Download the BetQL app. GOAT 25% off. There's a lot of info in the description of this video with also a link and more info for the special offer from BetMGM. BetQL has everything you need. If you're trying to make smarter bets, you're trying to get better. It's just interesting in general, just to kind of get an idea who's going to win games in general because they're that on right now. So, again, more info in the description. Check it out. Be much appreciated. That wraps up the power rankings. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. I'm sure there'll be the people that for some reason think these are end of the year final standing predictions that will be complaining. We're getting used to it. That's all right, though. I just appreciate everyone for watching. Again, like, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow that Twitter, very important, but that's going to do it. Goodbye.